all for being here today. I'm Bonnie, and I am really honored to stand before you as we celebrate Women's Day, this year's Women's Day. And you all look so beautiful. I love this view. I wish all of you could see what I'm seeing right now. And so diverse, too. I love what Carrie said about just how, anyways. But it's very humbling to be up here with just women that I admire and respect, and I personally look up to so much, and consider to be my role models and also my friends. But I'm going to do my best to share a little bit about myself and about the theme scripture on our invitation. I totally was going to bring one up, but I can read. Thank you. Thank you. It says, "She is strong and respected and not afraid of the future." That's taken from Proverbs 31:25. But let me start off by introducing myself a little bit first. So Carrie already introduced me, but just to add on to that, I was born and raised in the U.S. I'm the daughter of first-generation Chinese immigrants, and I'm actually now married to a first-generation Pakistani immigrant to Australia. And so I really deeply admire and respect anyone who has made that journey overseas, away from their home country, away from their home language, to make a better life for themselves. It's really not easy, and it can be lonely, it can be daunting, and getting PR can seem impossible at times. And if you're one of those people, be patient. I think it took my husband like 10 years or something crazy like that. But growing up, my immigrant parents, they instilled in me a sense of importance of preserving our cultural heritage and identity, while also embracing all the opportunities that America had to offer. They taught me values, of course, of hard work, perseverance, pursuit of excellence. And we weren't rich or anything, but my parents, and like many other Asian parents, sacrificed a lot to afford me and my younger brother just the best opportunities that they could. And I grew up with stories of my dad and how he grew up as an impoverished farmer boy in China. He would tell us stories of having just one pencil for his entire school year to learn and to be able to write, how many miles he would have to walk each day to school and back, how they only had potatoes to eat growing up. And so I grew up watching my parents live their lives super sacrificially. And listening to them, eating my vegetables, studying hard, and hearing about how kids these days have it so easy. But on a serious note, I was actually very acutely aware of how privileged I was as a kid in America, and how many opportunities I had more than my parents did. How education was a privilege, public school. How even the ability to speak English without an accent was a privilege. How having a safe and warm home with two parents in the household, that was such a privilege. And so I did what I could to appreciate and to honor those opportunities. By high school, I had played, tennis, basketball, ballet, soccer, softball, swimming, gymnastics, Chinese dance, piano, violin, you name it. By 14, I founded my own nonprofit organization and started working in research labs in universities. By 16, I had published research into those top academic journals and won competitions in math, science, piano, all these different activities. And by 18, I had gotten into Columbia University, the Ivy League university of my Gossip Girl dreams. And so when I went there, I got to uni, I was so ready to continue to work hard, to keep being a success. And that was all I knew that I needed to do. And then I met my peers at Columbia, and they were amazing. They were amazing people. Before they got to uni, they had already been featured in People magazine for their business, making products that were already in major supermarkets to raise money for underserved children in their local community. They were already on the Ellen Show for their groundbreaking cancer research. They already, won Student Jeopardy and went to the Oscars and the White House and built and sold software that was competing with the leading computational software companies of our time. And they all seemed to be like that. I could go on and on. They were accomplished. They were driven. They were ambitious. They were talented. They were really impressive people. And I can't speak for them or how they felt, but I think we all felt some level of imposter syndrome there at one point or another. For me, I still carried with me those pressures and those expectations that I brought with me there. And I think that in a society where successes can have a really narrow definition, I really felt the weight of those expectations as the oldest child, an older sister, as a woman pursuing engineering, as a daughter that really, really wanted to make my parents proud. And so I strive to excel academically, to meet cultural standards, to honor my family's sacrifices, and yet amidst all these pressures, I really also deeply searched for my true identity and purpose. Maybe I got a bit disillusioned because even after all these achievements, I thought it would be the most fulfilling thing in life. I thought I would be able to walk around with just this amazing confidence in who I was, to be able to see my resume and to be like, yes, that's me. That's how I identified myself. But even after all these, I still wasn't able to, and I still had these deep questions inside of me. What was I doing here? Who was I really? Is there more to life than this? Are other people maybe happier than me? Do they know something that I don't? At the end of the day, what will my life mean? And who am I really? Not just now, but what was I created here to do and to be? And that was the moment that God chose for me. That was the life situation and the mindset that I was in when He reached out to me through two amazing women, two absolute strangers that became my best friends. They invited me to church, and I learned some crazy things that blew my mind to this day, even 8 years later, and I want to share that with you all, is what I found out that God wanted for my life. I came from an agnostic, atheistic background, so some of these things may be very familiar to you if you grew up religiously, but these very, very simple truths blew my mind. Okay, so firstly, what blew my mind was that God told me who He was. God, I learned, is the creator of this whole world. He is the creator of the earth, the heavens, the skies, everything, of all the generations that have lived before me and will live after me, and of the whole universe. And I don't know if you've seen that video of one person, and then it keeps zooming out and zooming out and zooming out, and then it shows that one person relative to the size of the whole universe. It starts, a person, then a house, then a neighborhood, a city, a state, country, continent, Earth, and then it zooms out more, solar system, and then, galaxy, and then many galaxies. And then, on top of that, scientists say that the universe is continuously expanding, it's a race to expand. Right now, the universe is bigger than it was 2 seconds ago. Crazy. So God is the creator of all of that. And on top of that, He says in Acts 17, verse 26 to 28, go read it, God Himself set the exact times and places where each of us would live. And why would He do such a thing? For us to graduate Columbia University on the dean's list, or to be tenured as a professor by age 30? No. To marry a nice Chinese guy and have his babies? Maybe. To make lots and lots of money and get PR in Australia? Honestly, I had all this in Excel spreadsheets planned for my life. 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I had a plan. But no, I learned God afforded us the opportunity to live our lives to find Him. That's what the scripture says. And to Him, that's what I was created for, and that was success in His eyes, which blew my mind. I never considered that before, which leads me to my next mind-blowing fact. So secondly, He told me who I was and what I was created to be. He told me that I am made in His image, that as women, we are made in the image of God. Men and women, together and equally, are made in the image of God, not just one or the other, and I really appreciated that. He told me that I'm valued not because of what I've done or what I've accomplished, which was really big for me as a high achiever. And I feel like I know this even more deeply now that I'm pregnant for the first time. Actually, second time I had a miscarriage earlier this year. But I've never been this far along before. I had my 14-week ultrasound last week, and honestly, it blew my mind to see my baby. It was so, I saw it, it was there. It had arms and legs and kidneys and a brain and a head and a spine. And yes, it's taking all my nutrients and energy and making me forgetful and nauseous all at the same time. But I was thinking that, just at the ultrasound, I was thinking that God already knows him or her. And not because of anything that they've done. Because I haven't done anything yet. Sorry, this is also part of pregnancy. But like, that's how God knew me. And that's how God values me. Not because of anything I've done or what I've made of my life or how I compare to others. And not that I found, the perfect aesthetic morning routine or travel the world or that I'll be able to have my dream job one day or take care of my parents or even hit the check boxes of the religious world. It's not about any of that. And most importantly, I learned that the way that we're created, it's really cool. God has placed inside of us the desire to get to know him. And one of my favorite scriptures in Ecclesiastes 3:11 says that God has placed eternity in the human heart. And that means that we know deeply that there is eternity, that this life is not the end. And I thought it was so special that God chose to prove himself to me through raising someone from the dead. He could have done anything. He could have given us a time machine or a picture of heaven or a selfie or an infinite energy machine. I'm a chemical engineer. Or like a fountain of youth, like right in the middle of Sydney. But God chose to raise someone from the dead. And I don't know if any of you guys have lost someone close to you before, but God raising someone from the dead means that there is life after death, after loss, that there is eternity. And so since then, I've always been inspired by what God wanted for me and what he thought was important for my life to be like. And so I strongly encourage you guys, to find out for yourselves, not for me, I don't get paid either way, but for you. I no longer have to wonder, will I be successful? Will I be enough? What does my life actually mean? What about my family? Will they be taken care of? What about the future? And honestly, guys, I'm bursting with stories about what God has done in my life. You wouldn't believe. I think I only have 10 to 15 minutes. I think I'm over time already. But I have so many stories about how a little Chinese American girl ended up here in Australia. But yeah, feel free to come up to me after and ask me questions and get to know me. And I'd love to get to know more of you as well. But that's what this scripture, our theme scripture, means to me as a woman today. And that this is my identity. She is strong and respected and not afraid of the future because she has God. Thank you all so much for letting me share.